So to integrate it, it's very simple. You simply have to go inside the head of your index.html file, and before the title you can simply add a script tag and point to the place where it was inside libs. We copied the calendar, so inside libs we have a calendar folder, and you can point to this vanilla calendar.js. We also need to link to a CSS, and the CSS is in the same folder as it's inside libs calendar, and its name is vanilla calendar.js. .css, sorry. It's not CSS, it's a CSS file. We can also change the title and call this Week of Movies. And now you can see that, yeah, now it's the title of this page. And we can close the other tabs. Everything is going smoothly. So now, what do we want to do? We want to integrate this calendar inside a specific place. So we no more need this div with an ID of app. This was generated for us by vid.js. We will replace this one with an ID of my calendar. And so we can see that there is this script. It has a type of module because it uses imports and exports. So the more modern way of doing, rather than using exports with an S. So we can go to this main.js file, and this is where we're gonna integrate our calendar. So we no more need all this inner HTML that was added to this div with an ID of app. We don't need the counter either. So let's remove all that, which shows us that we also have to remove this import of script logo and this import of set counter. So now we can simply create a new calendar variable. And you remember in the previous video I told you that there is a good indicator that you can use the new keyword when you want to create a new instance. It's because this calendar, you see, has an uppercase V. This is a convention that shows you that you can use this function as a constructor. It's returned here and is even attached to the window object as vanilla calendar. So we want to create a new vanilla calendar. So what I wanted to show you is that if you go to the console and you go to window dot, you can see it finds there is this vanilla calendar constructor. So I guess they added this so we can play with it in the console. So how do we configure this vanilla calendar? We simply need to tell it where we want it to appear, where we want to integrate this calendar. So we've created this div with an ID of my calendar. So simply go inside this object that you can pass to the constructor. I like the fact of passing objects as parameters because you immediately know what each property refers to. We know that we want to find a specific selector. So the selector we want to find is this div with an ID of my calendar. So an ID usually is used with the pound sign. So it's important. I forgot it while I was preparing this video and it didn't work. So think of using this ID because this ID matches this ID here. It's a common convention. And now if you go here, you can see that you have a calendar, but it's not properly formatted, which means there is a CSS issue. It seems to me that we've pointed to this CSS. Actually we did. We imported this CSS here on line 8, but I forgot to use a specific class that will allow you to format properly the calendar, and this class is named vanilla calendar. So now when you get back to it, it's way nicer. It's good to have this nice calendar, and we didn't have to program it ourselves, which could have taken us half a day or maybe more. Now we want to see how to retrieve a day on which our user will click. So you remember we mentioned this well-named onSelect method. You can see this. We have this onSelect property. So simply use it. And this is how you develop an intuition of how things work. It's simply because the developer of this calendar was good and he gave clear names to his properties and to his function names. So we can guess that onSelect will be called when the user selects a specific day. So let's try to use this onSelect right here. And this exposes the data and the element itself, the element on which we clicked. So let's simply add this function here, and let's console.log the data and the element. So now, if you click on the day, you can see on line 6 you have a console.log that is executed. This is the data that is displayed. As it's the date that we clicked on, this is what we'll be interested in. The second one is the div itself. So you see the naming convention was really good. The guy did a really good job. So the data is what we're interested in. The element is the HTML element itself. So we don't really care about it. We can remove it. And so now if you click on a specific day, you can see January 18th, January 18th. Excellent. If you go to January 22nd, this is selected. So you can see using clear naming conventions is really important. So when you create code that other people must use, think that they would also like to know immediately by looking at your code what then they will need to use in their own code. This is exactly what happened with this onSelect method.